Hi, I'm Michael Allshouse, and I'd like to welcome you to ME 4565, which is the course on Introduction to Computational Fluid Dynamics for the fall term of 2023. So we're going to be meeting twice a week throughout the fall semester from 11:45 to 1:25 on Mondays and Wednesdays in Ryder Hall, room 202. Office hours, I've got placeholder blocks here that we would tentatively plan to hold office hours after classes on Mondays and sometime during Tuesdays, but these may change as schedules get settled. The material for this course is going to be hosted on the Canvas page, which there's a hyperlink to here. You'll obviously be getting announcements sent to your email as well, but you're going to be navigating the Canvas page on a regular basis as we're going to have lots of material, whether it be assignments or pre-lectures or any other documents will be hosted there. If you have issues accessing the Canvas page, feel free to reach out to me. You can contact me at my email address at m.allshouse@northeastern.edu. So let's talk a little bit about the class. So our CFD class, where CFD stands for Computational Fluid Dynamics, is going to have three major thrusts. We're going to have three focus points throughout the semester. And so what we want to introduce are fundamentals of computational fluid dynamics and numerical methods for solving differential equations. And we're going to break this up into the three topics of numerical methods, coding, and ANSYS. And so you're going to do a fair amount of work by hand, deriving equations, solving equations, these types of things. And that's going to be sort of your standard solving schemes. And then we'll go ahead and start coding those up in places like MATLAB. We'll learn to apply these things to different fluid dynamic and maybe non-fluid dynamic and heat transfer type problems. You'll get a feel for the different types of applications for this type of work throughout the term. And then obviously we're going to be doing some ANSYS Fluent along the way. So the course is going to progress through a couple of topics where we're solving different types of equations, which are models for different types of systems. And we'll go through the overall structure of the course during the first lecture. So who should take the class? Students who have an interest in fluid mechanics, basic coding, but not necessarily a strong background in it, and engineering simulation software. So there is no prerequisite with regards to your coding background or having seen ANSYS before. However, there is a fairly steep learning curve that occurs throughout the first month or so of the course. So if you haven't been exposed to MATLAB before, or it's been quite a while, I'm going to encourage you to go back and look up some of the materials from Cornerstone to just get brushed up on some of the basics. We will be moving through all the critical elements of coding that you're going to be needing. But obviously, the more familiar you are with it, the quicker it's going to be for you to learn the new concepts developed in the course. As far as ANSYS, we're assuming no background whatsoever in the CFD package, and those tutorials will very much be starting from scratch. Prerequisites for the course. So, an undergraduate fluid mechanics class, so that would be ME 3475, or if you're in our bioengineering group, the 3310 class would be sufficient. You're also going to need a reasonable background in differential equations and linear algebra, and so that would be Math 2341 or our General Engineering 2361 class. Now, we are going to ask you to be able to recall a lot of that information. We'll do a little bit of reminder throughout, but just be on notice that this is something where we're expecting you to have some ability to solve differential equations on your own. Textbooks. There is no official course textbook for this class. No book really contains everything that we like to cover in this, so we're going to be hosting a lot of content on the Canvas page itself. But if you are interested in getting a book that can provide some value on particular topics, a first course in computational fluid dynamics is a very good book. It gets pretty deep pretty quick with regards to the fluid content, but as far as the numerical methods approach, that actually lines up reasonably well with a lot of the material that's covered in our class. But there is no ANSYS component to that either. Numerical methods for engineers and Scientists Using MATLAB is a great book for sort of introduction to numerical methods in MATLAB. So there's a lot of good coding information there, but really isn't applicable for CFD type content. And then there are some other textbooks as well. Really, we're not going to be pulling much from textbooks as we move along. We're going to be providing you most of the content. But if you're ever interested, feel free to reach out. Okay, so how is the class structured in terms of the deliverables? So the grading breakdown is going to be as follows. You're going to be getting 2 midterm exams. You're going to be getting homeworks on a near weekly basis, and you're going to be getting quizzes every lecture. So, and then there is a term project at the end as well. So quizzes, this makes up 20% of the grade. So there will be a brief quiz at the beginning of each class covering conceptual questions covered in the pre-lecture videos that you'll watch before you arrive to class, or portions of the homework. Quizzes will be graded for accuracy, and you have about 24, 25 lectures over the course of the term. A couple of those will be taken for midterm exams, and so we're going to drop the 5 lowest scores on your quizzes. So what does this mean? You shouldn't get too worried or too concerned if a particular topic just doesn't quite make sense after you watch the pre-lecture video, because each one of these is not going to end up counting for more than maybe 1 to a little bit more than 1% of your overall grade. However, if there's a trend where you're not just getting the material or you're just not making time to watch the pre-lectures, that kind of issue is going to sort of eventually accumulate, and you're going to see the ramifications for that on more than just the quizzes themselves. So at the beginning of each class, we'll have about 10 minutes time where you're going to take the quiz, and then we'll quickly do the quiz together as a class so you can see sort of what did you understand, what did you not understand, and then we can start addressing those areas where we didn't quite understand everything as we work through some examples during class. Homework. So homeworks will be posted weekly on Canvas on Wednesdays, and they're going to typically be due the following Wednesday before class. So it'll be due at 11:45 or so the following week. So you have about a week to do it. There will be 2 exceptions to this. So there are going to be 4 homeworks before the first midterm. There'll be another 4 homeworks before the second midterm, and then there'll be 1 homework after the second midterm. So the presets 4 and 8, so the final homeworks that will be given before the midterm, and the content will be covered on that midterm, you'll get an extra couple days to do that. So those homeworks will be due on the Friday of those given weeks, and those homeworks are also going to be slightly longer. So how are our homeworks structured? Typically, each homework consists of about 3 problems. Obviously, each problem is going to have a number of parts. And the way we grade them is we grade 1 of the problems for accuracy and the other 2 for completeness. Now, for problem sets 4 and 8, there are likely going to be more than just 3 problems, as we're going to need to cover a little bit more material on those. But it's still going to be the case that only 1 problem is graded for accuracy. These problems can range from hand derivations to coding things up, producing figures in MATLAB, to running simulations in ANSYS. And what all this means is that we're going to need you to combine all of the materials you need to submit for your homework and submit those online through Canvas. And we've provided an example file of what we'd like your homework to look like when you submit it, so that it's as easy as possible for our grader to get your documents and provide you good feedback along. We'll talk a little bit more about the homework structure in class. Out of the 9 homeworks, we will be going ahead and dropping the lowest score. So if there's a week where something comes up and you're not able to submit your homework, or you're out of town for whatever reason, not a big deal, but we will not be doing extensions on the homework, as we plan to post the solutions almost immediately after the homework has been submitted. Okay. Next, we have 2 midterms. Each midterm will be worth 20%, and the midterms will consist of 2 components. So the midterm will have an in-class component, which will be hand derivations. You'll have a page or 2 of notes that you can reflect on. And then after the lecture window is over, you've submitted your in-class component, there will be corresponding out-of-class components to those questions where you're going to be coding things up. And so the first exam will start on October 11th. That's a Wednesday. After the Wednesday lecture, the out-of-class component of the exam will go live, and we'll do it before the Monday lecture the following week. The second exam will be the handwritten component will take place on November 20th, which is the Monday before Thanksgiving. And then the out-of-class component will go live after that Monday lecture and then won't be due until November 27th. So you'll get a little bit longer time to do that, given that there's going to be a holiday window in there as well. There's an expectation that the out-of-class component of the exams is being done independently, that there's no collaboration. We welcome collaboration for the homework or homeworks, but the exams we're expecting that there will be no collaboration. The final component of the course is a term project. And so for the 2 midterm exams, you're going to be evaluating your hand derivations, your understanding of numerical methods, your coding in MATLAB, but there really won't be any ANSYS on the 2 midterm exams. The ANSYS is evaluated in the term project. So over the course of the semester, you're going to be given an opportunity to submit a proposal for what you and a partner will be working on for your term project. And that term project is going to be looking at having you develop a base simulation and then making some modifications so that you can understand how the simulations can inform some design decisions with regards to what your simulation looks like. We'll be looking at a couple examples of term projects in the first lecture, and we'll certainly be talking more about that through the semester as we move along. Software. So the expectation is that in class we're actually going to be doing a lot more examples and work as opposed to just typical lectures. There will be lectures from time to time where we do a lot of stuff just directly from the board, but most of the lectures throughout the term you're going to be doing stuff on your computer, which means you're going to probably need a laptop with MATLAB installed. We really don't do ANSYS in class directly. We maybe talk about it a little bit on slides, but it ends up being the case that people just simply don't have the bandwidth on their machines to actually run ANSYS along with everything else and then be able to keep up. So what we do is we post walkthrough videos about the ANSYS projects online on Canvas for you to navigate to better understand the material. If you do not have access to a machine where you can have MATLAB available to you in class, feel free to reach out and we can see if there are some resources available to provide that for you. Next, we have our pre-lecture videos, and so this is a unique element of this class. My preference is that we spend our class time doing examples and working through problems together and giving you some individual feedback on how you're doing with regards to coding up the example problems. What this means is that we end up delivering a fair amount of content through pre-lecture videos like this one. The expectation is that these videos are going to be less than 15 minutes. They're going to be posted both on Canvas and on YouTube for you to have access to, and that you're going to be watching these videos before arriving to lecture. And what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to give you a first pass on the basic concepts that we're going to be covering in class. From that pre-lecture video, that should put you in a sufficient position to execute a relatively simple quiz, and then we'll cover that quiz, allowing you to sort of see what portions of the content did you understand and what portions did you maybe not quite grasp completely. So then we can spend the rest of the lecture window working through examples with varying degrees of complications. Class recordings. My plan is to record every lecture on Zoom and then post those lectures on Canvas after the fact for you to review. In the event that we're going through something on code and it's just simply going by too fast, don't stress. It's going to be available to you on the recording, and then you can sort of pause and move forward at your own pace. Class attendance. Attendance for this class is important. We expect you to be there, primarily because it gives you an opportunity to work on some of this stuff with me around. I typically am moving around through the classroom looking to see who's understanding what elements of the code or what portions of the derivation are maybe not being well understood. And so being in the classroom and getting that immediate one-on-one feedback is going to be of value to you. Obviously, the quizzes are an important element of that as well. And so while, yes, there will be recordings of the lectures, I'm strongly encouraging everyone to plan on attending the lectures regularly. Academic integrity. This is the standard academic integrity statement that's available on most syllabi and it is provided to us by the department. The expectation is that you're going to live up to these elements of the academic integrity code and the honor code, particularly keeping in mind those take-home exams. There's a appreciation that we want to be able to give you time to do these exams well. And part of that responsibility is that we expect you to be doing them independently. And if there's ever any questions on sort of how collaboration works, feel free to reach out to me. Same with questions on those exams. Student accommodations, these are typical things from the syllabi. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions on the final elements of the syllabus. Otherwise, I'll see you in class.